Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is called Let's Talk About Sleep, based on my book, Let's Talk About Sleep, which is on Amazon.com, and you can get it in both the paperback or the hardcover or the electronic copy. There also is, perhaps, knock on wood, a paperback version coming as well. Welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Daniel Barone. I am a neurologist and a sleep specialist. I work in a very busy academic practice in Manhattan. And what the whole idea of this channel is to kind of spread the word about sleep and sleep health. I give a lot of talks to the community in the Manhattan area, and a lot of the things I'm going to be talking to you guys about are things that I've said in my talks and obviously what I teach to my patients. So it's really important to pay attention to sleep health. And what I always tell anybody who asks me, if they should get a sleep test or whatever, I say go get evaluated. Go get evaluated. If you think you may have a sleep disorder, if you're more tired in the daytime than you think you should be, go get evaluated. We are in a fortunate situation in that the sleep field has become a lot more prevalent in the last few years in terms of both research and also in terms of clinical care. So if there is a possibility of sleep disorders, they can definitely be diagnosed and treated. So today's first topic we're going to talk about is obstructive sleep apnea. So everybody's heard the term sleep apnea, but what actually is it? So the term sleep means it happens during sleep, and apnea means a temporary stoppage of breathing. Temporary, okay? And essentially what happens in obstructive sleep apnea, as opposed to central sleep apnea, which will be another topic, but in obstructive sleep apnea, what's happening is essentially the throat muscles, particularly the tongue, when they relax, they have a tendency to kind of fall together, or in this case, when the tongue relaxes, it has a tendency to fall backwards to the back of the throat. So what you're doing is you're taking the air space back here and making it smaller. Now, that happens to everybody on Earth. If you're alive, your muscles relax when you fall asleep. But people who have either snoring or sleep apnea, what occurs is the closure is more than what would happen in a, quote, normal person. So imagine this, if you will. This is your airspace when you're awake. When you're asleep, it goes to this. Somebody who snores, the airspace is like this. And somebody who has sleep apnea, the airspace goes to this. And what occurs is when this happens, snoring doesn't hurt anybody. It annoys everybody who's listening or sleeping with the person. But what I think of snoring is more of a marker of what sleep apnea is. And what sleep apnea is the airway closes off, and the brain doesn't let you die. It says, I'm choking, we have to do something. So what it does is it causes the person to either wake up fully or go from, let's say, deep sleep to light sleep. And this can occur many, many times over the course of the night. In some cases, even unbeknownst to the patient. But the person may wake up feeling tired. They may have blood pressure or diabetes issues. The bed partner may say, I hear you gasping and choking throughout the night. Certainly they're snoring, although not everybody who has sleep apnea snores, and not everybody who snores has sleep apnea. But these are some of the signs and symptoms, okay? And the person may say, well, no, I don't wake up throughout the night at all. But in reality, their body is waking up. And what occurs, if you think about it, why do we sleep, right? Why does sleep exist? Evolution would have weeded it out of existence if sleep was not something completely, utterly important for us. Because sleep, and if you look at the primitive man from 50,000 years ago, when he would fall asleep for chunks of time, it wasn't 8 straight hours like we want now, but let's say for 3 or 4 hours at a time, he'd be incapacitated. And if there was a predatory animal or so roaming around, he could get eaten. So unless something vitally important was happening, evolution would have weeded sleep out of our need. Our need for sleep would have been weeded out of existence, but that's not what happened. So there must be something so important going on when we sleep that is affected by things like obstructive sleep apnea. And that's exactly what occurs. Our body is given a break when we fall asleep. Our heart rate comes down, our blood pressure comes down. Things like that occur as the body is trying to repair itself. When you have obstructive sleep apnea and you have these stoppages of breathing that happen every few seconds in some cases, or several times a minute, I should say, in some extreme cases, the body responds as if the person is being choked. So imagine this: you're in a deep sleep, your heart rate's low, your body is resting the way it should be, and someone comes into your room and chokes you, right? What do you think would happen? Well, your blood pressure would go up, your heart rate would go up, and your body would go into a kind of fight or flight state. Now imagine that happening many times per hour. That's obstructive sleep apnea, except you're the one who is choking yourself. Okay, so the brain doesn't let you die. It causes this fight or flight reaction, and that over years can lead to things like high blood pressure, cardiovascular illness, diabetes, believe it or not. As that cortisol is released, blood sugar goes up, and that over time can lead to diabetes and heart attacks and strokes and things of that nature. So with this talk, I hope that it alerts you or someone you know or someone you love that if there is a possibility of sleep apnea, you should get it tested. You know, it's one night in the lab, or nowadays we do a lot of home testing for insurance reasons, unfortunately. But either way, it can get diagnosed. Now, the other issue is, well, if I'm not a very heavy person and I'm not a man and I don't snore, how can I have sleep apnea? The old way of thinking that sleep apnea only occurs in very overweight or obese people, especially men, that has kind of gone out the window. We now know that I see patients of my own who are thin as a rail, and you would not think has any possibility of sleep apnea, and they may have severe cases. It's just kind of way the anatomy is structured, okay? And what I tell people who are whatever age they are, I say, look, if you do have sleep apnea and you're a thin person, or even if you're an overweight person, this came from somewhere. The anatomy came from somewhere. So if you have children, you may want to get them checked out. Kids can have obstructive sleep apnea. Or if you're a younger person and you have parents, you may want to get them checked out. Okay? So that's basically the nuts and bolts of what obstructive sleep apnea is. In the next video, we'll talk about how to treat it. But I just wanted to get the ball rolling with that and hopefully make obstructive sleep apnea a little bit more clear for folks. Okay? Remember, this book, you can get it online, Amazon.com. You can get the electronic version. You can get the hardcover version. Please, if you like the book, certainly recommend it to your friends. But this video, please share, comment, write in the comment section. I will look and see if there are questions that you guys want me to answer. I'll do the best I can. This channel is not meant to take the place of a doctor's visit. If you do have any of the things that we're going to be talking about, I urge you to go see a doctor for it. But this is more to educate folks so you know what's going on with your sleep. Take care.